All right. So I'd like to welcome everyone. I would like to introduce myself and the team. My name is Yahaira Ortega, and I'm the Policy and Advocacy Associate for Thrive Alliance Nonprofits for San Mateo. And this is my colleague, Diane.
I am Diane Leeds, and I'm the co-chair of the Voter Education Outreach Advisory Committee, as well as a member of San Francisco Peninsula People Power. And then Sarah.
Hello, I'll give you a peek. I'll say hi. I'm Sarah O'Brien from the San Mateo County Elections Office, and I'm here in the Elections Office. That's why I have the mask. And hopefully we'll be able to provide you with information and materials. And also here is Michael from my office. He can say hi too.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Louie. I'm also with the San Mateo County Elections Division and just here to answer any questions people may have.
Thank you all for introducing yourself. So in today's presentation, we will cover all things recall election, from what is a recall election and its importance to what is on the ballot and how to vote. Lastly, at the end, we will discuss where you can find more resources to help us spread the word. I will be asking you to hold your questions until the end, and I will be sending this information to all of you, this presentation and additional resources. So let's dive into answering what a recall election is. So Proposition 8 of 1911 was an amendment of the Constitution of California that introduced for the first time the recall of public officials. This allows the governor, state senators, and assembly members and other elected officials to be removed from office early by a public vote. Recall election requires that a specific number of registered voters sign a petition within a specific time period. On the left of my screen, you can see a diagram that shows that there are only 19 states that allow recall elections at any time. On the right-hand side, you can see the big news. If you haven't heard yet, Governor Newsom is facing a recall this year, and there are 46 other candidates running for this position. Last recall was in California was in 2003. It resulted in voters replacing incumbent Democratic Governor Gray Davis with Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you think that 46 candidates is a lot, in the last recall, Governor Davis had 135 candidates running against him. On the next slide, I will tell you what will be on the ballot this September. So as promised, you can see that there will only be 2 questions on the ballot. The first one being, do you want to recall the governor? And the second one being, if the governor is recalled, who do you want to replace him? This means that if more than 50% of the voters say no to the first question, the governor remains in office. But if more than 50% of the voters say yes to the first question, the person who gets the most votes on the second question becomes governor. So you don't have to vote on both questions. It will not invalidate your ballot. Now that we're all caught up on what will be on the ballot, let's talk about why this special election is very important. I will discuss 2 fun facts about this election. The first one being, California law requires 12% of the voters in the last gubernatorial election to sign the recall petition to get it on the ballot. Well, for this special election, less than 2 million people in California signed the petition. To give you some perspective, the Secretary of State's website suggests that there were about 19 million Californians registered to vote that year. So out of 19 million people, 2 million people made this recall election happen. On the right, you can see fun fact number 2, which states, if 50% plus 1 vote yes to recall, whoever gets the most votes out of 46 candidates, that is our new governor. Meaning the person who gets plurality might only get 6% of the vote since it is split between 46 candidates. In the next slides, I will tell you all about the different ways you can vote. So there are 4 different ways you can vote. The first one is voting by mail. In San Mateo County, the elections office has worked tirelessly to get your ballot out as soon as tomorrow, Friday the 12th. Yay! Secondly, if voting by mail does not work for you, you are more than welcome to drop off your ballot at any secure drop box or vote center. The next slide will go into more detail. But before we go, let's say if you prefer to vote in person, you can do that and/or drop off your completed ballot, vote with an accessible voting machine, even register to vote as a conditional voter. Lastly, and most excitingly, SMC is proud to offer remote accessible vote by mail systems. You may be asking yourself, what is this? Well, it's the ability to print your ballot in the comfort of your home. And once it's filled out, you can drop it off at the drop box or vote center location near you or mail it in. If you have not registered to vote or need to update your voter registration, you can do that up to and on election day at any vote center. For Dropbox and vote center hours locations, check smcvote.org. Let's move on to the details of the Dropbox and voter center locations. So you don't have to get all this down. I know it's a lot of information. I will be sending it out to you. So as you can see on this slide, 3 vote centers will be open on August 16th. And all the vote centers will be open 3 days leading up to the election, in addition to election day. On the right-hand side, you can find more information about drop boxes. On the next slide, I'll share with you where to find additional information on this recall. On these sites, you can find various things from election info, plus where you can go to register to vote, how to track your ballot, get the facts before you vote on Voter's Edge. So I will be sharing with you another resource we've created for you that's called the Recall Fast Fact Sheet. So go ahead, pull out your phone or whatever you need to scan this, and it's an opportunity for you to share with your constituents, and I will be sending this out in the follow-up as well. So lastly, I will be opening up the floor for any questions. You can go ahead, go off of mute or raise your hand, and Diane and Sarah will be answering some questions. I haven't seen this chat. Okay. Okay, Ron has a question.
Right, so I was starting to answer that. So Ron had a question about remote accessible vote by mail and whether it's new. It's not. We've San Mateo County, in fact, the state of California has had remote accessible vote by mail for a while. What the state did back in November of 2020 was to expand the group of people that could use it. It was primarily designed for people with vision problems that had a hard time reading a paper ballot, and they could use their screen reader software to enlarge the ballot on their screen to make it easier for them to mark and then print off the ballot and mail it in. That answer your question, Ron?
He said yes. Thank you, Diane. Anybody else have any additional questions?
Well, Ron had a second question. Will all Californians receive a ballot by USPS? And the answer is yes.
Awesome. If there is any additional question, oh, Vivian has a question. So if you vote no to the first question, you still need to choose a candidate, correct?
No, you do not. You can just vote on question 1 and you don't have to vote on question 2. Again, there's a lot of, go ahead, Sarah.
I just want to say, but you can vote on question 2.
Yes, so you could vote no on question 1 and still select a candidate in question 2. You could also vote yes on question 1 and not select a candidate. I mean, basically, you can choose which questions you want to answer. Though again, you're going to hear a lot of information coming out from especially from the political parties in terms of how they want you to vote. But again, obviously, the whole point of this election is question 1, and But if you answer that, you do not need to answer question 2.
Awesome. Run has another question. Are there any other elected officials facing recall this cycle anywhere in CA? If so, where can we find the full list of those recalls, even if it's not in San Mateo County?
Michael's shaking his head no, so I'm going to let him answer this one.
The only elected official getting recalled this year is the governor. There's no other recalls going on at this time.
Not on this ballot.
Yes, not on this ballot, not in the state.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, if any of your organizations that you work with would like to have printed material about the election, here at the elections office, we have materials in Spanish, English, Chinese, Tagalog, Tongan, and more to come. So, you do have an email address for at least for Thrive, and they can get the request to me if you need anything, and you already have from them their fast facts.
And so one piece of literature that we find really useful is this quarter sheet. It doesn't go into a lot of detail in terms of the recall election specifically, but it talks about the different ways to vote and also where to get more information. And I really advise folks to spend time going to smcvote.org. You can basically find out about any question you have regarding this election. You can check out your voter registration status. You can also go there to sign up for Where's My Ballot, so you can track your ballot. You can find out the locations of vote centers, drop boxes. So, you should all commit to memory, smcvote.org for all your elections questions.
Yes, smcvote.org, very important. And here's the QR code for anybody else.
And for, I know sometimes you work with people who are not that thrilled about using the computer. They can call or text us. I mean, again, it's the same phone number for call or text. The nice thing for those people who like to call is that we will be able to work with all different languages. I mean, we have people here who speak Spanish and Chinese to answer the phones, answer your questions. And then we have access to different services to translate other languages if we need to. Here, I think we did it.
Yeah. So if anybody else has any lingering questions, you can stay around, but I will be sending all of this information, and I promised to you that it was going to be 15 minutes and I went over about a minute, but we are here if you need any help, and we'll stay here if anybody else has any lingering questions. But thank you all for coming. I appreciate all your support, and I hope you have this down and you have the fast fact sheet and you can share that with your constituents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.